ExamPrep.School. Rhode Island personal lines insurance producer exam code INSRI-PERS55 or OPPers55. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Policy provisions and contract law. Property and casualty insurance terms and related concepts. Are I laws common to property and casualty? Are I laws pertinent to casualty-only automobile? Are I laws pertinent to property only? Types of casualty policies. Types of property policies. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Which statement best defines insurable interest in personal lines insurance? A. Ownership interest in property that allows the insured to transfer risk to the insurer. B. A financial or emotional stake in the preservation of the insured subject. C. The vacancy condition excludes coverage for vandalism if the building has been vacant more than 60 days, so this vandalism loss is specifically excluded. D. An agreement to indemnify another party against specified losses. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is a financial or emotional stake in the insured subject, which establishes the legal basis for indemnity in the personal lines insurance. Reason A is not correct. This describes risk transfer rather than the insured's stake required for coverage. Reason C is not correct. This describes an insurer's obligation rather than the insured's interest. Reason D is not correct. This describes an indemnity agreement rather than the insured's personal interest. Question 2. At what point must insurable interest exist in a property insurance contract? A. When the policy is first issued. B. At the time of loss. C. When the application is submitted. D. At each policy renewal. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that insurable interest must exist at the time of loss to validate any property claim under the contract. Reason A is not correct. Insurable interest at issuance alone is insufficient if it lapses before loss. Reason C is not correct. Interest at application does not guarantee interest at the moment of loss. Reason D is not correct. Renewal is irrelevant if interest ceases before a loss occurs. Question 3. Which of the following distinguishes risk from hazard in insurance terms? A. Risk is the uncertainty of loss, whereas hazard is a condition increasing the likelihood or severity of loss. B. Risk describes the cause of loss, while hazard quantifies the financial impact of that loss. C. Risk represents deliberate actions increasing loss potential, and hazard is the unpredictability of loss. D. Risk and hazard are interchangeable terms describing potential causes of loss. The correct answer is A. The correct answer defines risk as the chance of loss and hazard as any condition that increases that chance or makes losses more severe. Reason B is not correct. This incorrectly swaps definitions of cause and financial measure. Reason C is not correct. This misattributes risk to deliberate actions rather than uncertainty. Reason D is not correct. This falsely equates distinct insurance concepts. Question 4. Which situation represents a physical hazard rather than a moral hazard? A. A homeowner concealing prior water damage to obtain lower premiums. B. Accumulation of flammable materials near a furnace. C. An insured deliberately causing damage to collect insurance proceeds. D. Falsification of income to reduce premium costs. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is a physical hazard, which refers to a tangible condition that increases the probability or severity of a loss. Reason A is not correct. This describes concealment or misinformation, which are moral hazards. Reason C is not correct. This intentional act to trigger a claim is a moral hazard. Reason D is not correct. This false statement about income is a moral hazard. Question 5. In property insurance, a peril is best defined as which of the following? A. A condition that increases the chance of loss. B. The measurable probability that a loss will occur. C. The financial value assigned to property subject to coverage. D. The specific cause of loss insured against in the policy. The correct answer is D. The correct answer identifies peril as the actual cause of loss covered by the policy, such as fire or theft. Reason A is not correct. This describes a hazard, not a peril. Reason B is not correct. This defines risk, not a peril. Reason C is not correct. This refers to valuation, which is unrelated to peril. Question 6. Under a named perils policy, coverage is provided only for losses caused by perils that are A. Specifically listed in the policy's coverage section. B. Subject to the insurer's discretionary endorsement process. C. Covered if not specifically excluded under policy exclusions. D. Limited to perils defined by government regulations. The correct answer is A. The correct answer describes that named perils policies cover only those causes of loss explicitly listed in the policy. Reason B is not correct. Discretionary endorsements relate to policy changes, not named perils coverage. Reason C is not correct. This defines open perils coverage, not named perils. Reason D is not correct. Government regulations do not determine which perils are named in a private policy. Question 7. A homeowner's rental unit remained vacant for 6 weeks after a heavy storm damaged the roof and required repairs. During that period, the owner lost $1,200 in rental income. In this scenario, what type of loss is represented by the lost rental income? A. Direct loss. B. Indirect loss. C. Speculative loss. D. Pure loss. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because indirect losses, also called consequential losses, arise as a consequence of a direct physical damage and represent financial impacts like lost income, consistent with the principle of loss categorization. Reason A is not correct. Direct losses refer to immediate physical damage, not subsequent financial losses like lost income. Reason C is not correct. Speculative loss involves uncertainty of gain or loss and isn't used in indemnity for actual incurred costs. Reason D is not correct. Pure loss generally refers to losses without any offsetting gain but does not categorize between direct property damage and its consequences. Question 8. A lightning strike set a large tree on fire, and burning branches fell through a home's roof, igniting an interior blaze. The resulting fire caused extensive smoke damage throughout the living room. What is the efficient proximate cause of the smoke damage? A. Burning tree branches. B. Interior fire ignition. C. Lightning strike. D. Smoke particles. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because the efficient proximate cause is the first event in an unbroken sequence that directly led to the loss in this case, the lightning strike initiated the chain of events resulting in smoke damage. Reason A is not correct. While the branches contributed physically, they were an intermediate result rather than the initiating cause. Reason B is not correct. The interior fire was a consequence but not the origin of the loss sequence. Reason D is not correct. Smoke particles represent the damage itself, not the initiating cause. Question 9. A homeowner's 12-year-old wood shingle roof was damaged by hail. Under the policy's actual cash value provisions, which settlement best demonstrates the principle of indemnity in property coverage? A. Replacement cost minus depreciation for the existing shingles. B. Replacement cost without depreciation. C. Market value of similar roofs in the neighborhood. D. Agreed value stated in the policy declarations. The correct answer is A. This option is correct because indemnity limits compensation to the actual cash value. At time of loss, replacement cost less depreciation ensures the insured neither profits nor incurs additional loss. Reason B is not correct. Replacement cost without depreciation could over-indemnify by paying full new cost. Reason C is not correct. Market value may differ and isn't used when policy specifies actual cash value basis. Reason D is not correct. Agreed value bypasses depreciation factors and sets a predetermined amount, not ACV. Question 10. An insured agrees to a higher deductible under a homeowner's policy, raising it from $500 to $2,000. How will this change most likely affect the policy premium? A. Policy premium will increase. B. Policy premium will decrease. C. No change in policy premium. D. Insurer's moral hazard risk will increase. The correct answer is B. This option is correct because increasing the deductible reduces the insurer's expected payout per claim, which in turn lowers the policy premium. Reason A is not correct. Higher deductibles shift more cost to the insured, which reduces rather than increases the premium. Reason C is not correct. A change in deductible directly influences the premium. It is not neutral. Reason D is not correct. While higher deductibles can affect behavior, moral hazard risk generally decreases, not increases. Question 11. Under a replacement cost policy, how is payment calculated for a partial loss to covered property? A. Actual cash value of the damaged portion. B. Replacement cost minus depreciation for the damaged portion. C. Cost to repair or replace the damaged portion without depreciation. D. Functional replacement cost for the entire property. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that replacement cost coverage pays the full cost to repair or replace only the damaged portion without depreciation, up to policy limits. Reason A is not correct. This describes actual cash value, which deducts depreciation and is not used under replacement cost for partial losses. Reason B is not correct. Replacement cost coverage does not deduct depreciation for partial losses, so subtracting depreciation is incorrect. Reason D is not correct. Functional replacement cost applies only when identical materials are unavailable, not standard replacement cost valuation. Question 12. Which principle allows insurers to consider multiple types of evidence such as market value, replacement cost less depreciation, or other relevant data when determining actual cash value? A. Broad evidence rule. B. Functional replacement clause. C. Pair and set provision. D. Stated value endorsement. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that the broad evidence rule permits the use of all relevant data, including market value and replacement cost minus depreciation, to establish actual cash value. Reason B is not correct. Functional replacement cost applies when identical materials are unavailable, not to valuation of actual cash value. Reason C is not correct. The pair and set provision relates to loss settlement for items and sets, not ACV determination. Reason D is not correct. A stated value endorsement fixes a value before loss rather than gathering multiple evidence sources. Question 13. What does functional replacement cost valuation cover when identical construction materials are not available? A. Cost to replace with identical materials even if imported. B. Actual cash value of the old materials. C. Cost to replace with inferior materials at lowest price. D. Cost to replace with materials of like kind and quality performing the same function. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that functional replacement cost covers the expense to replace damaged property with materials that serve the same function and quality when identical materials cannot be obtained. Reason A is not correct. Insurers are not required to find identical materials when they are unavailable. Functional cost focuses on equivalent function. Reason B is not correct. Actual cash value takes depreciation into account, which is not part of functional replacement cost valuation. Reason C is not correct. The policy does not call for using inferior materials. It requires like-kind quality, not the lowest price. Question 14. Under a homeowner's policy, ordinance or law coverage is triggered when A. Enforcement of a building code requires reconstruction or repair of undamaged parts due to a covered loss. B. Market value of the property increases after damage. C. The insurer mandates upgrades beyond code requirements. D. The insured elects to rebuild with higher quality materials voluntarily. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that ordinance or law coverage applies when enforcement of building codes requires repair or reconstruction of undamaged portions following a covered loss. Reason B is not correct. An increase in market value has no bearing on ordinance compliance coverage. Reason C is not correct. The insurer cannot mandate upgrades beyond codes as a trigger for this coverage. Reason D is not correct. Voluntary upgrades by the insured do not trigger ordinance or law coverage. Question 15. The increased cost of construction endorsement in a homeowner's policy provides coverage for A. The full cost to rebuild at replacement value. B. Depreciation on older structures before building. C. Additional expense required to comply with building codes during repair or reconstruction. D. Market value difference between old and new construction materials. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that this endorsement covers the extra cost to meet current building codes or ordinances when repairing or rebuilding after a covered loss. Reason A is not correct. Replacement cost covers full rebuild costs, but increased cost endorsement only covers code compliance expenses. Reason B is not correct. Depreciation of older structures is not covered by this endorsement. Reason D is not correct. It does not cover market value differences of materials, only cost to meet codes. Question 16. Under the pair and set clause in a property policy, how is loss to an item in a set typically settled? A. Payment for the full replacement cost of the entire set regardless of damage extent. B. Actual cash value of the single damaged piece. C. Difference between the value of the set before and after the loss. D. Pro rata share of the set's agreed value assigned to the damaged piece. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that the insurer may pay the difference in value of the entire set before and after the loss, which restores the set to its pre-loss value. Reason A is not correct. Coverage does not automatically replace the entire set at full cost, regardless of damage. Reason B is not correct. Actual cash value of just the damaged piece would undervalue the loss to the set. Reason D is not correct. Pro rata distribution of agreed value is not how the pair and set clause operates. Question 17. After a house fire, the insurer and the homeowner cannot agree on the dollar amount of the damage. The homeowner invokes the policy's appraisal clause. What is the primary purpose of this clause? A. To escalate coverage disputes to binding arbitration. B. To obtain an independent determination of the loss amount when there is a valuation dispute. C. To require submission of additional proof of loss documentation. D. To mandate immediate payment of the undisputed portion of the claim. The correct answer is B. The appraisal clause is designed to resolve disagreements over the value of a covered loss by having each party appoint an appraiser and, if necessary, an umpire to establish the amount of loss. Reason A is not correct. The appraisal clause does not resolve coverage issues but strictly addresses valuation disagreements. Reason C is not correct. Proof of loss documentation is handled under a different policy provision, not the appraisal clause. Reason D is not correct. Payment of undisputed amounts may occur under other policy terms, but is not the appraisal clause's function. Question 18. A homeowner suffers hail damage on June 1st. The insurer requests a proof of loss on June 15th and specifies a 60-day submission period. By what date must the homeowner submit the proof of loss? A. August 15th of the same year. B. July 31st of the same year. C. August 14th of the same year. D. September 1st of the same year. The correct answer is C. The policy requires proof of loss within 60 days after the insurer's request. Counting 60 days from June 15th results in an August 14th due date. Reason A is not correct. August 15th is 1 day beyond the 60-day period following the request. Reason B is not correct. July 31st falls only 46 days after the request, which is earlier than the 60-day requirement. Reason D is not correct. September 1st exceeds the 60-day limit and would be considered late. Question 19. An insured discovers a burst pipe on August 10th, but waits until September 5th to notify the insurer, despite the policy requiring prompt notice of loss. How might this delay affect the resulting claim? A. The insurer will cover only initial water damage but not any extraction costs. B. The insurer must pay for all covered losses regardless of notification timing. C. The insurer may deny coverage for damages that worsened during the notification delay. And D. The insurer can impose a higher deductible due to late notice. The correct answer is C. Policies require prompt notice so the insurer can investigate and mitigate further damage. A delay can lead to denial of coverage for additional damages that occurred during the lapse. Reason A is not correct. Coverage of extraction costs is not automatically severed by delay. The key issue is investigation and mitigation. Reason B is not correct. The insurer's obligation may be limited if the notice delay prevented investigation or mitigation. Reason D is not correct. Policies do not typically penalize through higher deductibles for late notice. They may deny related losses instead. Question 20. A severe windstorm blows off part of an insured's roof. The insured fails to place a temporary cover, resulting in additional interior water damage. Under the policy's mitigation clause, what consequence is most likely? A. The insurer can refuse to inspect the property due to policy violation. B. The insurer must cover all storm-related damages regardless of mitigation efforts. C. The insurer will void the policy for breach of warranty. D. The insurer may reduce the claim payout by the amount attributable to the failure to mitigate. The correct answer is D. The mitigation clause obligates the insured to take reasonable steps to prevent further damage. Failure to do so allows the insurer to reduce payment corresponding to avoidable additional losses. Reason A is not correct. Insurers' inspection rights are not forfeited due to lack of mitigation. Payment may simply be reduced. Reason B is not correct. Coverage is contingent on reasonable mitigation. Total coverage regardless of action is incorrect. Reason C is not correct. Mitigation clauses reduce payment but do not void the policy as a warranty breach. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.